Greetings and welcome back for another Music Theory Bite. Today we moved outside on a beautiful summer's day here at Music Theory South to talk about meter signatures. Now before we get started, you might want to watch my video on beats and meters. There's some useful information in there that you will need to understand some of what I cover in this video. So if you just go ahead and dive right in and it's not making a whole lot of sense to you, you might want to stop and go back to that video. How do you find it? Well, the easiest way is to subscribe to my channel. You can find all the exciting music theory videos that I'm posting on there several times a week. So, if you're ready, let's get started. A meter signature is a notation that tells a musician about the metric organization of a piece of music. It's useful to know this information before reading a piece, as it helps with understanding and interpreting the rhythmic content. Meter signatures appear on the first line or system of music after the clef and the key signature. Unlike the clef and key signature, which need to be on every line of music, meter signatures only appear on that first line unless there's a meter change later on in the music. A meter signature consists of two numbers stacked on top of each other. The meanings of these numbers differs depending on the type of meter that the meter signature represents. Remember that we have two types of meters available to us. We have simple meters, in which the beat note is divided into two pieces, and all subsequent divisions are also multiples of two. And then we have compound meters, where the beat note is divided into three pieces, and all subsequent divisions are multiples of three. Let's start by talking about the top number. The top number is what I call the quantity number. At its most basic level, it tells you how many of a particular note value, represented by the bottom number, that goes into a complete measure or metric unit. It can be any number, but the most common examples are 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, and 12. The quantity number also tells you whether we're dealing with a simple or a compound meter signature. We just have to figure out how to interpret that. So, if the top number is 2, 3, 4, or any other number that is not divisible by 3, then the meter is a simple meter. If, however, the top number is a multiple of 3, such as 6, 9, 12, 15, or 18, then the meter most likely is a compound meter. In most cases involving simple meters, the top number indicates the number of beats in each metric unit. Exceptions would be if the music is being felt in a hypermetric sort of way, such as groups of measures being organized into their own meter, or a hypometric sort of way, where a division of the beat is treated as the beat note. So, a top number of 2 would indicate a simple meter with 2 beats in each measure, or a simple duple meter. A top number of 3 would indicate simple triple, or 3 beats in a measure. And a top number of 4 would indicate simple quadruple, or 4 beats in a measure. Other numbers would indicate mixed or irregular meters. If the top number is a multiple of 3, then we know that the meter is compound. In that case, you have an extra step to do to figure out the number of beats in the measure. And that step is dividing that top number by 3. The result will get you the number of beats in the measure. So, if the top number is a 6, divide 6 by 3 and you get 2 beats in the measure. That would indicate a compound duple meter. A top number of 9 would indicate compound triple, because 9 divided by 3 equals 3. And a top number of 12 would indicate compound quadruple, because 12 divided by 3 equals 4. Other multiples of 3 indicate mixed or irregular meters. For example, if the top number were 18, that would indicate that you have 6 beats in the measure, because 18 divided by 3 equals 6. Now let's talk about the bottom number. The bottom number must be a power of 2, and it represents a note value. Because we have whole notes, half notes, and quarter notes, we read it like the bottom number of a fraction. So legal numbers for the bottom part of a meter signature include 1, which would represent a whole note, 2, a half note, 4, a quarter note, 8, an eighth note, 16 for a 16th note, and so on. Numbers such as 3, 5, 6, 7, 19 can't show up as the bottom number, but because we don't have notes that represent those values. We don't have third notes, fifth notes, sixth notes, and seventh notes. Just like with the top number, the meaning of the bottom number differs depending on whether the meter is simple or compound, which of course you will have already determined by looking at the top number. If it's a multiple of 3, it's compound. If it's anything else, it's simple. Let's deal with the meaning in simple meters first. In most cases involving simple meters, the bottom number represents the note value that receives one beat. I'll call that the beat note. Exceptions to this would again be where we have a hypermetric or hypometric feel in the music. So a meter signature of 2/4 means that we have a simple meter because of the 2 on top, 2 beats in the measure, and the 4 on the bottom means that a quarter note is the beat note. So a complete metric unit consists of 2 quarter notes. 3/4 would mean 3 beats in a measure, quarter note is the beat note, and 4/4 means 4 beats in the measure, quarter note is the beat note. You'll notice that the number 4 is the most common example for simple meters, but any note value can serve as the beat note. So meter signatures like 2/8, 3/1, and 4/16 are possible, though they're somewhat rare. If the meter is compound, the bottom number has a different meaning. Instead of representing the beat note, the bottom number in a compound meter signature represents the first division of the beat. In order to determine the beat note, you need to first take the next larger note value, and second, place a dot on it. The dot allows the beat note to more easily accommodate the division of the beat into 3 pieces, which of course is the defining characteristic of a compound meter. So, if the meter signature is 6/8, the top number tells us that we're in a compound meter because it's a multiple of 3, and we'll have 2 beats in the measure because 6 divided by 3 equals 2. Now to interpret the bottom note, that shows us that an 8th note is the first division of the beat. We go to the next longer note value, which would be a quarter note, and we put a dot on it. So that would be 2 dotted quarter notes in the measure. Now you might be thinking this is pretty complicated, that we have 2 completely different systems for interpreting meter signatures, and you would be right. It would be great if we could come up with a system that would make a lot more sense, such as one in which the top number always represented the number of beats in the measure without having to do any math, and some sort of indication would tell us which note received the beat note. Well, we could do this fairly easily if we simply modified our meter signatures so that the top number did exactly what we want it to do, reflected the number of beats in the measure, and if we replaced the bottom number with a note value instead to show us what the beat note would be. So a meter signature of 2/4 would actually look like 2 over a quarter note. And this is the real advantage of this when dealing with compound meter signatures. A meter signature of 6/8 would look like 2 over a dotted quarter note. It's useful to think about meter signatures in this way because that helps in interpreting what they really mean. But because our rhythmic notation system has evolved over a long period of time, and the evolution was meant to accommodate innovations of increasing complexity, and because musicians are simply just used to reading traditional meter signatures, you need to be able to interpret these in the normal way. There are 2 other meter signatures that don't look like the 2 number system that occasionally show up that you need to be able to interpret. These 2 meter signatures are shorthand for 2 other meter signatures. If you see the letter C in place of a meter signature, this represents the meter signature 4/4 and is called common time. If we put a slash through the C, it represents the meter signature 2/2 and is called cut time. These are symbols that have evolved out of an older method for indicating meter, and they've just sort of stuck around as the meter signature system has evolved. So let's summarize. Meter signatures appear only on the first line of music after the clef and key signature or elsewhere in the music where there's a meter change. They consist of two numbers stacked on top of each other, unless the common time or cut time symbols are being used. The top number has two jobs. It indicates whether the meter is simple or compound. Compound meter signatures will have a top number that is a multiple of 3, such as 6, 9, or 12. Any other number would indicate a simple meter signature. The second job is to tell you how many beats occur in each metric unit. In a simple meter, the top number indicates the number of beats in a measure. In a compound meter signature, the top number divided by 3 indicates the number of beats in a measure. The bottom number of a meter signature must be a power of 2 and corresponds to the name of a note value. In a simple meter, it indicates the beat note. In a compound meter, it indicates the first division of the beat, so in order to determine the beat note, you need to find the next larger note value and place a dot on it. Remember always that a hypermetric or hypometric feel to the music will mean that the meter signature does not accurately reflect the way the music will actually be metrically grouped. Well, that does it for our discussion of meter signatures. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please like, and if you'd like to learn more about music theory, I have dozens of other videos available for you. All you have to do is subscribe to my channel, and that's the easy way to find all the videos I have and get a heads up on all the new videos that I'm putting up as I do them. So, until next time, keep making music.